I returned back home with two 25-pound bags of dog food for the new addition to our family. My 5'11" tactical operator pants were now about 2 sizes too big for me. I've gone down 3 notches on my belt in just 3 weeks. Even though we had plenty of food, I was burning way more calories than I was consuming. I guess it was a blessing in disguise that I was overweight with some extra cushion when Armageddon started. I needed some protein. I missed eating meat. The pasta, rice, beans, and Mountain House couldn't substitute for the loss of my meat consumption. I didn't dare tell my family the horror I seen inside of Bear's house. The murder-suicide was too difficult to explain. Bear was happy to have his dog food and a family to love him. I sat down, enjoyed some maple and brown sugar oatmeal for breakfast. I needed to catch up on a few hours of sleep today before heading out on the neighborhood recon mission. The fighter jets, the Russian soldier, had really shaken my kids up. For being so young, they had both been so brave over these past 3 weeks. The seriousness of the situation was wearing on all of us. Before catching a quick cat nap, I went back outside to set some traps in hopes of catching some rabbits. Suburbia never had a big population of deer, but there was always an abundance of Peter Cottontails. I had 2 cage traps I had used for groundhog problems about 2 months ago, and I set up some snares where rabbits would enter and exit under my stockade fence. If I was fortunate, the coming days would bring some much-needed meat. Local fishing holes were a good 2 to 3 miles away from my house. Truth is, I was never big on fish anyway. By now, my wife and kids were used to the routine of Dad going up to sleep after returning from night watch and having breakfast. I'd go up to bed, and my wife would watch over things in the morning hours. The kids would play card games. I'd taught them scat and gin rummy, among others. By 8 a.m., I was knocked out and dreaming of better days gone by. Not long after, I awoke to Bear barking. Another smoke grenade had detonated. Outside, red smoke was filling the street. I jumped up immediately, not knowing what time it was or even what day it was. I could see the smoke from the upstairs bedroom window, and it was close. I grabbed my rifle, thought about bringing Bear with me, but I decided he'd be better left inside to protect the family. I exited out the back garage door, slowly opened the gate to the fence that faced the street. To my amazement, it was my oldest daughter's best friend, Alicia. She lived 3 streets over to the due east. She often spent almost every weekend at our house, and we joked that she was our 3rd daughter. I whistled to her, motioned her to come over into the backyard. She was visibly shaken, with dried up blood covering her face and arms. I asked her if she was alone. She had lived with her parents and an older sister. She said she was. I sent her into the garage, stayed outside to see if anyone had followed her. The tripwires tied to the smoke grenades were worth their weight in gold. Within a few short hours, they'd alerted me twice to incoming objects. With no one in sight, I returned back inside. My wife was already consoling and cleaning Alicia up. She was having a difficult time talking, still hyperventilating from whatever she had gone through. And now I had relief that she was now safe with us. I asked where her family was. She said gone. 3 nights ago, their house was overrun by a group of marauders. Her father put up a fight, but was beaten and hung from a tree. Her mother and older sister were killed after both being sexually abused by the group while they made their father watch on. She had escaped by jumping through a glass window, suffering gashes to her face and arms. She spent the next 2 days and nights hiding in an abandoned car before building up the courage to come to our house. The news devastated my wife and kids. Women were being hunted by low-life scumbags and being used as pleasure objects against their will. Those were the worst kind of men imaginable. Any man that would attack a woman for his own enjoyment needed their manhood cut off and a bullet put in their forehead. I asked Alicia how many men attacked her house. Still crying from having to retell the events, she answered at least 7. This incident happened just 3 streets away from where we were standing. My blood was boiling. I was beyond infuriated. I wanted to go hunt them down and exact revenge for her family right now. I could see the look and fear in my wife's eyes. She feared we could suffer the same fate. I reassured and promised her that I would never let that happen. I would die and take all 7 of those marauders with me before I'd let my family, which now included Bear and Alicia, ever to be harmed. It had been days since Alicia had eaten or drank anything. She had managed catching some rainwater 2 days ago while hiding out in fear for her life inside the car. I needed help for what was possibly coming. I no longer had Jack and Eddie to depend on. I couldn't take on a group of at least 7 by myself. The sun was still rising above. The hand clock on the wall read 10:53 a.m. It was time to go recon the neighborhood and look for help. I did a quick, thorough cleaning of my AR-15. The last thing I could afford is a malfunction due to a dirty gun. 6 30-round mags mounted up, 2 handguns, and 2 game changers, the grenades. I grabbed a crowbar to breach doors, and also a paper and pen to jot down notes about each house I encountered. I didn't want to go out, but I had to. I was going to be careful. My head was already on a swivel. With all the loss, the only thing I could think about was my family without me, because I took a wrong step or entered the wrong house. My brain was racing as fast as my heartbeat was. I collected my thoughts, smoked the Marlboro Red Label, got the equipment mounted up. I kissed my wife and kids goodbye, told them I'd be back soon. I could see the anxiety pouring out of them, but they knew it had to be done. My wife whispered in my ear to be safe. I patted Bear goodbye and headed out. My plan was to start on the side street that looped off my road. I'd hit that today, and tomorrow I'd finish off on my street. The side street was where the Russian fighter jet had crashed at earlier that morning. I made a list of all the house numbers on my paper to take notes on each house. If it was empty, if it was occupied, if there were dead inside, how many, what kind of supplies were left behind. I was only one person. I wouldn't be able to grab everything I'd come across. The first house I stumbled across was partially burned down. The front porch was gone, but the house as a whole was still structurally sound. The inside was full of papers and appeared to have been looted. Suitcases in the kitchen were half full of clothes and other personal items. I cleared the house one room at a time, announcing myself quietly just in case. I started to trawl through the bigger suitcase and discovered a carton of Senecas, full flavor, score. The fridge was full, but had long since spoiled. Same with the freezer. I radioed my wife, told her number 27 is clear, on to number 39, and I crept out the back door. I approached the next house, which appeared to be untouched. I knocked on the back door, but no answer. I leaned into the door with my crowbar, popped it open. I turned to the right to scope out the kitchen, and at that time, I heard the cock of a hammer on a pistol. A voice then calmly tells me to drop my weapons. I try to remain calm, but inside I'm freaking out. My legs and hands are shaking. What do? Oblige? Fight? I can sense the gun on the back of my head.